Hello, you are listening to the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. My name is Jocelyn, and if you have been following along, I have been doing a course on emotional resilience, specifically finding emotional resilience through finding strength in the Lord. I am a Christian, and my church has put out this book, and I wanted to go through it, and I thought it would be a good option to go through it with you. So last week we talked about our emotions and healthy eating and healthy sleeping. This week we are going to talk about sleep, about personal hygiene, and emotional health, and self-care. We'll touch a little bit on each of those as we go throughout this week's podcast. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, fellow mom of 5 and host of the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find the positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life. And I can help you. Let's find positivity during our pregnancies and in our motherhood together. Thanks for joining. If you are a mom who feels like they are stuck, especially when it comes to weight loss, or if you feel like you think a lot of negative thoughts and you want to overcome and start getting rid of those, having more positivity in your life, I can help you. I actually have taught 2 classes on these subjects. I have taught one called Mindset of Weight Loss and one about negative emotions and how they affect us. And as you realize how they affect you, it is easier to get rid of them. And both of those are mini classes that I offer on my website. If you go to the Lose Weight tab, they are both there, and they will both be worth your time and your mental energies because it has helped me. Those are the exact tips I use to lose all the baby weight after my 3 most recent babies. I've had 5 total. And the negative emotion thing, has changed my perspective. And I know that as you implement it and you keep trying, it can change your perspective too. Another great way to change your perspective is through implementing what you learn on this podcast. I want to help you be the woman that you desire to be. And I hope that that includes happiness. Because we are meant to have joy. And sometimes as a mom, it can be hard to feel that joy because we feel so tied down to our motherly responsibilities. So talking about emotional resilience is a way that can help us even during these hard seasons of motherhood. As I mentioned last week, at the beginning of the episode, we talked about the exercise and health last week. If you haven't listened to that, I encourage you to go listen to that because this week is going to be kind of a continuation, but we're going to talk about sleep and rest and personal hygiene, and understanding our emotions and some self-care. So sleep, we are going to start with that. The need for sleep and rest is often forgotten. This is from the book. And this book is free, by the way. It's been in the show notes. It will still be in the show notes. You're welcome to download it or get it through your device that way. Or you can just follow along the episodes either way. But Elder Jeffrey R. Holland said, "Fatigue is the common enemy of us all. So slow down, rest up, replenish, and refill. Physicians promise us that if we do not take time to be well, we most assuredly will take time later on to be ill. Quality sleep can help protect your mental health, physical health, quality of life, and safety. When you're tired, you might find it hard to make decisions, solve problems, control your emotions and behavior, and handle change." And I want you to think about that. I imagine if you're listening to this podcast, you are a mother. And as a mother, you have gone through Sleepless nights per pregnancy, also postpartum, newborn. And when you're tired, it is just sometimes bleak. It can be very dismal. There was a quote I heard once when I was like in the middle of having babies, and it said, "The bridge between hope and despair is a good night's sleep." And I related to that so well. Sometimes we just need sleep. And if you are in the phases of having to get up with a baby, and you just have other kids and you can't get the sleep that you need, ask for help. Ask for your mom, a friend, someone to come by and let you have a nap, like a good nap, maybe even pump if you nurse, so that your baby can have a bottle and you can just sleep. There have been some saving graces of having my husband or someone just allowing me to sleep for a few hours. That has been, as was mentioned in the quote, the bridge between hope and despair. So figure out, if you don't know why you're not sleeping well, figure that out. But if it's because of a baby, give yourself grace. Allow God's miracles to show in your life. God gives us women abilities to do things to take care of our children. But sometimes we do need some extra sleep. So be willing to ask for help and try your best to get quality sleep. Personal hygiene is the next area. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this area, but I am going to read a little quote from the book. It says, "We show respect for our bodies when we treat and talk about them positively. Prioritizing small things like washing our hands, bathing regularly, brushing our teeth, and keeping our clothes clean will improve our health and can help us feel better about ourselves." So I want you to think about your hair. Think about when you push it and maybe you go a few extra days without washing it and it just feels greasy. Don't you just kind of feel bleh on those days? Gratefully dry shampoo can help with those days, but you just feel better when you take care of yourself, when you brush your teeth and they don't feel all hairy with gross stuff on them. You just feel better. And that does help your mind when your body feels cleaner and better. So even though sometimes it's like bottom of the list, it does help to take care of your personal hygiene. Understanding your emotions. This could probably have a whole podcast in and of itself, but we are right now going to just give it a little blurb so that you can be aware. Your body experiences strong emotions. This is from the book. Becoming emotionally resilient requires you to acknowledge, accept, and respond to your emotions in a healthy way. Emotions are a normal part of our mortal experience. Sometimes your emotions may be strong, and it can be challenging to respond to them. When you allow your emotions to decide your behaviors, you surrender to your emotions rather than using your agency to respond to your emotions. So the first step of managing emotions is to become aware of them. This talks about a tool you can use to help you with your emotions. It's called an emotion journal. You record the emotion that you feel, you kind of ponder the feelings and situations and write down your thoughts. I have learned similar stuff. I've done some pretty good coaching when I was really struggling, and they talked about something similar other than you didn't write it down. I mean, they did have other exercises that you wrote down, but say it was a situation with someone. Like you felt angry and hurt because you got in an argument with your husband. Maybe you yelled and you lashed out at him and you just feel bad about it. You kind of realize what happened. Realize, yeah, I did feel angry. Yeah, I acted out. And then ponder about it. Ponder about what you want to do to help make that right. Maybe you need to talk to him. Maybe you need to learn to breathe before you talk. Sometimes I have to do that. I have to just give myself a few minutes to think about how I really want to respond. And sometimes I just have to tell him, like, I don't know how to respond right now. Give me a few minutes and we can talk about this further. Nonetheless, being aware is what can help you to begin to start working through them. Elder Richard G. Scott taught, yielding to emotions such as anger or hurt or defensiveness will drive away the Holy Ghost. Of course, we will all feel anger and hurt at times. Sometimes we are even justified in feeling these emotions. However, it is important for us to resolve these feelings if we want to better connect with the Lord and to feel the Spirit. I had an OBGYN for my first, he actually delivered like my second and third and fourth baby actually, and he was a really good doctor. Unfortunately, an accident took him young. He actually came on my podcast and talked about bleeding in pregnancy, but he has passed away. I will link that in the show notes if you want to hear that. Nonetheless, this doctor at his funeral, I listened to it, and his brother talked about when this doctor hired this brother. And they made this pact or this promise that they would not quit or give up until they've given a situation 3 days. So they couldn't quit or give up on working together unless it had been 3 days. And if they still wanted to after the 3 days, then they could part ways or whatever. And the brother who was speaking at the funeral talked about how that never happened. And I think the time factor is huge. When our emotions are hot, sometimes we say things that we don't really mean or that are just spewing because we are feeling those emotions. But as we give it time, it can simmer down, and then we're able to articulate, communicate, and share what we feel in a better way that doesn't hurt other people and also feels better for us and our emotions. But handling those situations takes time. It takes learning. It takes doing it wrong and committing to try better next time. I can't tell you how many difficult situations I've had in marriage and with friends and family that they seem to try you to the core, but you keep trying and you keep realizing like, I'm a work in progress. I'm human and I'm trying to get better. But recognizing that we are trying to get better, recognizing the emotion that we are feeling is a first step in understanding our emotions. Elder Scott also just suggested a good way that emotion can help us feel the Spirit and be more resilient is a good sense of humor. It says a good sense of humor helps revelation. A sense of humor is an escape valve for the pressures of life. I actually talk about this in my pregnancy part of the podcast. I remind the women who are pregnant to smile at themselves. And sometimes I still have to remind myself non-pregnant to smile at myself or allow myself to laugh. I get so caught up in things and responsibilities and heavy burdens that I forget to enjoy my life. As you find joy, you have better emotional resilience. You are happier, you feel better, and your emotions can come to a point where they don't sway you as often, and you're able to guide and direct them where you want. Now, I don't think in this life we will reach perfection when it comes to our emotions. Nonetheless, we can make improvements that help us to find more positivity in our motherhood. Okay, the last little area that I want to talk about is self-care. There's a saying I'm sure you've heard, but it is, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So it's hard to give to our family, to others, when our cup is empty. And so sometimes we do have to do some of these self-care things. I'm going to give you a list, and as I read the list, I want you to think of something on this list that you can do that sounds good to you for self-care. Every now and then, we just have to take some time for ourselves. Here's the list. Take a nap. Visit with a friend. Slow down. Take a shower or a bath. Exercise. Read a book. Listen to music. Create something. Pray. Take a walk. Make a list of things you are grateful for. Enjoy a nice meal. Dance. Sing. Use relaxation techniques like breathing and resting to help you out. Maybe it's doing your hair. Maybe it's painting your nails. Maybe it's time to actually put on all of your makeup. Maybe it's scheduling a date with your husband. There are a variety of ways that we can have and create self-care for ourselves that help us to be happier. You can't pour from an empty cup, so do take some time to fill your cup with some type of self-care that sounds good to you. I hope that as you listen to these podcasts, you find something to help you in coming closer to the Lord, help you in understanding your emotions and getting better at them. We are all in this journey together, trying to figure things out, and I'm cheering for you. I want you to find success. I want you to find happiness. I want you to overcome the dark clouds that can tend to weigh on us, and doing these types of things can really help. We will chat again next week. Until next time. Thank you for being a part of the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, and most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness so that you can find your own better thoughts and becoming the mother that you desire to be through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. Thanks for joining. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward in your motherhood. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time.